I think the reason Thug really kept me on in the big ring, because this was when like people were like, yo, this is one of the hardest guys to work with in the industry. Like this guy is firing 4 engineers a night and stuff like that.
Really?
He saw how fast of a Pro Tools operator I was. And when someone sees you flying through shortcuts with not even having to touch the mouse and just operating Pro Tools like you're like driving a sports car almost, that puts a level of confidence in the artist. And I learned that earlier on. So I've been really quick with Pro Tools always, also because you have to do that as a tracking engineer.
Yeah.
That was a big plus, I think.
That's very cool. Yeah, I was gonna before you said that, I was gonna ask, how do you build the trust? But it sounds like being prepared, getting your skills dialed, and then time and spending the time and just executing.
Yeah, exactly. Just showing up every day. Like, there's a point where like, and some sessions are rougher than others. Some sessions are super smooth. It's just always like that. It's inevitable. But there was like a clear point when I was like, okay, we're in sync now. He doesn't like he's thinking and I'm executing, and that's when that's when you know that, okay, cool. You've reached like a.
And how long did that take? How long was it into your relationship where it was like, okay? I mean, obviously, maybe you guys will be working 10 years from now and you'll be like, it's even more dialed in than the first time we talked.
Exactly.
Was there a point at which
there was definite sticking points where like I feel like, because he wouldn't say much at first, but like when he actually told me, he was like, yo, you're a dope engineer, but this is the way I work and this is why I work this way. And so like small things like, okay, cool. When we're tracking, every engineer, like you make a new playlist, when you're recording, but he was visual. He would like to see what he did on the old playlist. So that would really annoy him. So it's literally switching your keys, your habit from, instead of doing new playlists to doing duplicate playlists. And it's just these small little changes that I like to be adaptable. That's what, because he's a dope Pro Tools operator too. So like everything I do has to be adaptable. So if he comes in and wants to nudge or comp or do something, it's set up cool so that, I know a lot of people keep all the effects right up top. So if he scrolls all the way up, it's just, he doesn't have to like try to find what he's looking for and stuff. The whole template is laid out in a very, simplistic manner, but very, very, it just works, There's like a bunch of throws, so he knows if he wants something to be a little wetter, if he wants something to have a delay or whatever, he knows to drag it down to one of them real quick.
Interesting.
And stuff like that.
It's cool. It's cool to work with an artist who has that level of knowledge. I mean, it's one of the things that I guess we talk about a lot, which is no matter what your role is, whether you're artist, producer, engineer, mixer, whatever, it's important to have some somewhat deep knowledge of every aspect of it so that you can communicate with people, so he can communicate with you, and that helps build the trust. His ability helps you trust him as well when he goes, hey, I want to see it like this, I want to do it like this. It's there's some people on here saying we want to do a Bainz mix with the masters, and I would love to get details on how you set things up, but because this album is so fresh, and you and I talked about it, whatever it was yesterday, I would love to ask you about this album specifically while it's so fresh, because it sounds like you had a lot of cool stories. It actually made me think. I was showing the Real, which is, I told you, is like my favorite song on that record. It's just a crazy, amazing sounding record. It's emotional. That guy Umfunk is unbelievable. And I noticed on the video, there's a moment in the video where Thug is in front of a Pro Tools session with a 2-track, and I was like, oh, your boy knows Pro Tools. That's
oh, dude, Thug really knows Pro Tools, man. Not just like I've worked with a lot of bigger artists that know how to record themselves. Thug really does know how to use it. Like he knows how to get what he's doing. Like because he does crazy things that he has crazy ideas that only he would pick certain parts and execute them the way he does without getting into too much of how he does what he does. So he needs to have control over that. He needs to know all the different modes, slip, grid, the different, the grabber, the separator, smart tool, all that shit. He needs to know how to do that. Yeah.
That makes me so happy to hear.
And I feel like the one dope thing that I taught him, the quick key, which made my life a lot easier, was that before, when we started working, he used to just, if he wanted to raise the volume of a certain section or whatever, if there were multiple clips or multiple regions, he would just consolidate them and do it up and down, with the fader, because he wanted to group them. But then once you go back in and you're mixing, you can't, if those edits are baked in. So I taught him how to do the clip gain with the quick key, and that's been a game changer. So that he just goes ahead, whatever he needs to do, because sometimes his ad-libs is so dynamic and stuff. But yeah, it's just, we have a really good workflow like that. And then once we're done and we know the records are gonna, end up being used, it's what we've done in the rough mix kind of just gets cleaned up over here and executed in this room, which is like right down from him. It all starts with like Arish will get the session, get it prepped up, do basic, clean up the fades, de-essing. We use Isotope RX so much just because we record in the control room. It's almost like I was the analogy I was using the other day was I remember a lot of my friends that used to do live recordings and then have to go and mix those live recordings. You feel like it's a performance in the studio every day. There's a lot of people in the room, so that's an energy.
That's a certain kind of energy.
That energy translates to the record with the artists and stuff. It's great for them, and you get a great performance out of it. Now the guys, the technical guys, the people like us that are put there in that position to make sure that despite all of that, the record still sounds good. So that's really what it is,